And hello, I hope that we're here live at Must Wine Loft with Learning to Flight. We're on flight number 67, and we are only doing these once a month now. So this is actually our November broadcast that we're filming here live at our loft on October 27th. So we're here with some friends in our loft today. So we're going to be flighting to Sonoma, and we're going to be enjoying 4 very unique reds that are very different from one another. And then we're also going to be pairing those with West Coast cheeses. So we've got 3 cheeses from California, and then we have 1 cheese that's from Oregon, from pretty much really southern Oregon. So California, we'll say. They would probably hate me in both states for saying that, though. So I am going to hopefully be able to sit here and share our screen so that you can let me maybe get me in here. All right. I hope. I don't know. I'm going to try. Tom, can you help me figure out how to share this screen real fast? Sorry, everyone. Like I said, this is not my regular profession. I am not a videographer. I just try and do these the best that I can. My screen that that everyone online can't see, but you guys can see it. So, okay. Let me get myself learning.
It's just learning the flight 67.
That's all it says so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't pushed any other buttons to change it yet because I want to make sure he's got the same thing for the folks that are joining us online, because we do have some folks joining us online tonight too. Sorry, Raymond. For some reason, I thought you had already recorded some. Okay. Alrighty. So we are going to Sonoma. So this is a very large map, as you can see. Sonoma is one of the largest, basically, counties, and within Sonoma County, there's 18 AVAs. So, which means American Appellation, American viticultural appellations. So we have Alexander Valley, Bennett Valley. I'm not going to read through all of them because you know how to read, but there is a lot. And so really what we're going to start out, the first wine is Lei Loon, and Lei Loon is a joint project. It was originally 4 winemakers who all met over at UC Davis, and they started this project and another project called Populous. And really, Populous is kind of their lighter, more approachable, longer or shorter macerations, and then the Lei Loon is their longer macerations, I believe, and more of a blend, and really a kind of a showcase of a bunch of different organic vineyards who are friends that they source from. So they make sure that they are always organic, that there is never any pesticides used. They try and find old vine vineyards as well. It is Champs, Angolian, and Diego Roig is, and I'm probably butchering both of their last names, so I apologize. I'm terrible at last names, and so I just am going to apologize in advance for that. But they all, they basically, Diego calls up people and says, hey, do you grow organic grapes there? And they say, well, yes or no. And then he's like, okay, well, if you don't, do you know who does in your area? So that's really like what he does. And then they basically kind of buy the grapes, because in California, land is extremely expensive, as you all know. So it kind of becomes more feasible when you're starting out to start by buying the grapes versus unless you are lucky and you have family vineyards and that you have, then usually you're going to start by buying the grapes, and then eventually the goal is just like a brick and mortar to have your own. So anyway, so 18 AVAs, over 60 different grape varietals are grown here, and this goes from super, super sunny, super mountainous, volcanic soils, coastal, schisty, fossil soils over along the coast, especially in the Fort Ross Seaview AVAs. And then that's what I'm saying. I don't think that, I think that I have to do the share screen for mine. And
well, I have this. Yeah.
yes.
Share some.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I do too.
Let me just,
Yeah.
sorry, we're trying to get it so that everyone joining online can join along with us and see the same map. No, the other way around. Keep going this way. Is the full screen? There you go. Yep, I would like them to see the full screen. Yeah, or you can do that, sure. But then they're not going to be able to read where we're at, and I'd rather them be able to see. Because they can hear us, they know what we look like. All right, yeah, they see us all the time. And we have people here too, so they can see us. So yeah, so our first pairing, as we were saying, let's go back. So this is Lei Loon, this is 2020, and this is their Cosmic Blend. So like I was saying, Lei Loon and Populous are their two projects, and Lei Loon is really meant to be their shorter maceration. They do mostly blends, and it's mostly meant to be just kind of a fresh view and fresh expression of what's growing on in Sonoma that year. So this is kind of done in almost like a Beaujolais Nouveau style, but it's not done in a carbonic, there's no carbonic maceration. It's just a short cold soak maceration that lasts, I want to say, 4 to 14 days, depending on which one. The Cab Franc is out of Massey Vineyard, and then the Cabernet Sauvignon is out of Carneros. And then the Zinfandel and the Merlot are also out of, I want to say, coastal Sonoma, almost Mendocino. And then there's a little bit of Chenin Blanc. There's actually 3% Chenin Blanc in this as well. And here are our two friends, Diego Roig and Chance. So, and then this is how bare bones. So basically these guys, they both have made wine all over the world. Chance, after graduating from UC Davis, he moved out to France and studied in Rhone, and then he also went over to, I believe, New Zealand, and Diego has also studied in South Africa, I believe, and also, I want to say, Spain. And so this house in the picture is actually Chance's parents' house, and they have turned the basement into their wine cellar. So that's a picture of the wine cellar, and this is the yard, which has all of the wine in these tanks and a flex tank. So that's kind of just to give you an idea of what we're drinking, and you can tell like it's a chilled red. It's meant to be just very fresh and fruity, almost like a Lambrusco, but a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit less complex. To me, it reminds me like juicy juice. Like juicy juice that I drank as a kid. It totally brings me back to my childhood. So anyways, as an adult, that's kind of fun. So this is each of the varietals are vinified and aged separately for 7 months, like I was saying, a mix between flex tanks and barrels. And low intervention, I just kind of wanted to explain what that means, because some people understand it, whenever people are saying now, like the word natural wines is thrown around a lot. And a lot of people, go, well, aren't wines natural to begin with? And yes, they are, but natural winemaking is a totally different process than industrial winemaking. So in the industrial wine world, which is California, and especially a lot of California, wineries, the larger ones, those are pretty much considered to be industrial or large production. So these are all small productions, so they're very different. They don't have the additives. There's up to 65 additives that you're allowed to add to your wines without having to let your consumers know that you put that in there. And it goes from adding things to give the wine more acid, things to give the wine more tannin, things to kind of take away the bitterness if the wine's a little bit too green, or it's not ripe enough, or it's too ripe and it's flabby and sugary. So there's purple grape agent to give it some color. I mean, there's so many different things that they're allowed to go in industrial wines. So that's why natural wines, none of that is allowed. They're not doing it whatsoever. They literally just harvest the grapes. They usually hand harvest the grapes. They de-stem by hand. And then from there, they sometimes don't even press. They just go straight into the barrel. And as there's a next picture over here, as you can see on the bottom right, this is what they're doing. They're putting the grapes straight in there, and they're the press. So this is Sean's foot trotting and Diego there. So, and this is just this is them out there harvesting when they can. So, and you can see this area, they just get that lovely layer of fog that this area is especially known for. Northern and southern, the Sonoma Coast, basically. So, of course, now I'm going to let Raymond talk about the cheese because I've been talking about the wine a lot, and I hope everyone is enjoying it. So, Cowgirl Creamery is the winery, or the creamery.
Yeah, Cowgirl.
So, and Red Hawk is what we're enjoying.
Cowgirl is known for their triple cream cheese anyway. They use the cows from the Montreuil area and are very productive in milk. They are very heavy rice content in the milk. So they also add cream to the milk, so that the cheese is even creamier. This one happened by accident. They had forgotten to
There's a video of them talking about it, yeah.
and basically they let their regular triple cream sit there after it had been not polluted, but helped by something else to start the maturation. When they came back to it, they came back with that cheese that was starting to turn orange. And so they decided to try it out, and it ended up being very tasty cheese, very creamy, and decided to wine wash the cheese from now on, and then get it. By making a mistake, they made actually a great cheese. So sometimes in cooking also, sometimes mistake can be very beneficial to what happened. Just like tarte tatin was started by somebody forgetting to take the apples out of the can and the sugar, and that's one of the most fantastic dessert in French cooking. So those things sometimes can be very helpful. This is very creamy, like a Délice de Bourgogne or something like that, or a Brie à Savarin. But it's got a nice funk from cheeses like the Pont l'Évêque and the Taleggio, and because of the wash wine, get develop that kind of earthy and mushroom flavor. So I hope you enjoy that with that wine, because the wine is kind of light, but it has a very much of
The tartness, and
I like,
goes with nice with it.
it's got a little acidy fruit like red currants, if you eat fresh red currants. And that would be balancing the cream too on that cheese, because you need something creamy to go with that. Sometimes they pair it with white wine, they have a little more acidity. But this red wine is perfect because it has more body and acidity at the same time. So I suggest you, and then try
Even the weather changes the
muted.
time the curds take to set.
It takes some time to figure out the best way to make a specific cheese.
The Red Hawk was a mistake in the cheese room. Our friend and cheesemonger, Kate already brought in some.
Because it's a triple cream,
We started it again.
you just want to bathe in it. It's unbelievable.
We had the video muted online.
We started Cowgirl Creamery in Point Reyes Station to showcase the milk from Albert Strauss's dairy. His
Okay.
mother, Ellen, taught us a little bit about cheese making.
So you
And our
missed the
name,
first part.
Cowgirl Creamery, came from a couple of cowgirls hitching their horses across the street. Ellen said, you know, this place is the Wild West out here. And I said, I know, so we must be cowgirls, right?
I'm
Right.
Peg Smith.
And I'm Sue Conley from Cowgirl Creamery.
We make cheese. We're located in Point Reyes Station, right at the base of the Tamales Bay. This area has a lot of dairies around it that were founded during the gold rush.
The most challenging thing was really finding a high quality, consistently delicious milk. So we were lucky we had the Strauss family to work with, and now we have Bivalve Dairy, which is 3 miles from this creamery and has a very rich, high in protein, high in butter fat, grass-fed milk. Milk is the most complicated ingredient that you could ever work with. There's so much going on, the seasonality of the milk, what the animals are eating, the breed, even the weather changes the time the curds take to set.
It takes some time to figure out the best way to make a specific cheese.
The Red Hawk was a mistake in the cheese room. Our friend and cheesemonger, Kate already brought in some Stilton. Stilton has those little holes in the brine that are created by cheese mites. The mites jumped off of the Stilton onto my Mount Tam, and that retarded the growth of the white mold. Instead, this red bacteria grew called bacterium linen. I was so distressed, I just threw those back in the aging room. 2 weeks later, Kate had the nerve to cut into one and taste it and said, Sue, this is the best cheese you've ever made. And in 2003, we won Best Cheese Made in America. So that was our lucky mistake. One thing we found in France especially is that it's kind of intimidating to go into a cheese shop. You shouldn't touch anything and you shouldn't ask too many questions. So we tried to change that at our shop in San Francisco.
That's what you stick
We want you to touch the cheese. We want you to taste it. We want you to try everything.
The Mount Tam is a triple creme cheese, which means that we add cream to it.
It has a soft mushroom flavor. It does develop some nuttiness and still has a lemony tang. And then we do the seasonal cheeses, and with each season we have a different brine treatment.
This
It
is how we
really
get
does
people to
have the
try the
flavor
stuff that
of
we
stewed
have.
artichoke or asparagus, but the flavor is really in the milk.
Cheese
When
is
we
not
first opened, we
fancy
had
food.
the
It's like the
ability to
original
talk
soul
to you.
food. So we
Talk to our
want people to
customers
come in and have a good time.
It's creamy, maybe a little bit of nuttiness in it. It's delicious.
Peggy and I have worked every part of this business. We have driven the truck. We have worked the farmer's market. We've made the cheese. We've made the sandwich. So it brings me great satisfaction to see it all working together. It's pretty neat what we do.
Yeah.
My favorite cheese is Red Hawk. What's yours? Comment below or tweet us
At Cowgirl Creamery, at Epicurious #Epicuriosity.
It's a hashtag.
That's cute. All right. Okay. Mute us again. So I'm back to muted now, right, Tom?
Yep.
All right, and now I should be able to continue on with our
Slideshow here.
slideshow and our next pairing. All right, so isn't that fun though? I love that video. I'm glad you guys let me replay it with the sound so that those online can hear the beginning part of it because, like I said,
Why not?
I'm terrible at this video stuff. I just do my best. But what I'm really better at is pouring wine and introducing you to wines. So, and eating cheese. Yes, definitely. So this is Red Car. And this is kind of like, I want to say, not their third renaissance of their label, but they've had many different label and relabeled like rebrandings because they've been around for a little while. They started out, I want to say, in the it was like in early 2000 or the late 90s. I want to say like 1998 is when they started originally, and basically. It was Mark Estrin who approached Richard Crowell, and he was just starting to kind of collect wine himself, and Mark approached him and said, "Hey, I'm thinking of starting this business, and I want to make wine, and I want you to do this with me, like basically like kind of help be my partner, my business partner." So he decided, "Hey, why not? Let's try this." So. As things would go, they purchased grapes at first, very much the way that Lei Loon and Populous does, until they finally were able to purchase their first property, which is this right here, and this is in their Fort Ross Seaview appellation, and this is their actual vineyard land. And so you can see it's just kind of beautifully perched on top of a mountain ridge. So we're gonna play one of their videos next of them like showing you basically like what it's like to go to the winery there and be part of it. And I'll do that next. That's my next video queued up.
Ray, what's going on with you?
Glad.
You're on the screen, so
Is it
ready to go?
Yep. Anyways.
And you are unmuted.
All right, so we're gonna mute that video because my computer battery is probably going to die, and we're having audio problems with this video anyways. We can't hear it, so I'm just gonna, I don't even know if you can see it. I think you
We
guys
can
can
see
see it here, so I'm gonna let
Narrate it, go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
continue, but basically they're talking about the vineyard sites and the clones that they plant here. So they do mostly Wente, the old Wente clones for the and then they also do that, and that's the Chardonnay clone. The Pinot Noir, I want to say that they do the Heritage and the Dijon clones. This is actually a 2016 vintage, so it has some age on it versus the next one, which we're gonna do, is a 2019. And why I wanted to show you both of these is the difference between them. To me, like this to me is a very balanced, elegant, very just like nice, approachable, ready to drink right now, in my opinion.
It only took 5 years.
Right? That's all. Exactly. So imagine when they first made this, it was probably a lot racier, a lot more free bursting out of it, whereas now it's much more balanced. However, they're kind of low and minimal intervention winemakers as well, so they don't add anything to it. They don't want a super expressive Pinot Noir, whereas the next one we'll see, you're going to have a different interpretation of that entirely. So, and they're very similar as far as the area goes. They're both Sonoma Coast, and they're both very cool temperatures. As you can see, like that fog rolling over it, and you can see the coastline like right there. So it's pretty cool. And they do a lot of sustainable, it's all organic farming, but as you can see, like they do a lot of crop cover mitigation and things like that are just natural rather than using pesticides and things like that. So they stick to it as much as possible. The last wine I forgot to tell you guys, but I want to say that it was like 12.3 or 12.8%. This one is just 12% or 13.3. So these are all also lower alcohol, and that's one of the nicer things about the natural and the low intervention wines as well, is they're not trying to bombard you with fruit and alcohol.
Yeah.
So they really want the wines to kind of sit back, and they want these to be food. They made these to be food wines. So, and I think that they did a good job on that. So, and their winemaker here, their winemaker, Tanner, and their viticulturist, Greg Adams, work hand in hand with each other, which is also very, very nice there. But Mark, what I was going to say, Mark, if you go to Red Cars, their website, there's a story, and it's on their history page. And it's almost like a love letter from like one of the founders to the other founder who has since passed away of cancer. But it's just, I'm gonna get teary-eyed just even talking about it, because I was so hard not to cry when I was reading it, because it was just so like you can just feel the love there. So I definitely encourage you to look into that and look that up. But we paired this with a Toma truffle. So
Toma Provence.
I mean, not the Toma truffle. I'm sorry, the Toma Provence. The
Which
Toma
is
Provence, which is the
another-
cousin.
Another Point Reyes area
Yes.
creamery beside Cowgirl. Point Reyes is the name of the creamery, and they're known mostly for their blue. They have a beautiful blue cheese. Two of them actually. They have the classic, which is a raw milk blue cheese that they made out of one farm milk, and it's beautiful. It's creamy. It's very mellow. We have it here, and we didn't want to do it again tonight because we got another blue. But their other big production is the Toma, which is
That's why I put their regular cheese.
basically like a mountain type cheese that you'll find in the Alps, in the Pyrenees, because the milk have so much more flavor and so more richness from the animal grazing up on top of the mountain most of the season. So they don't eat hay, they don't eat corn, they don't eat anything like that. It's like grass, flowers, whatever grows on the mountain. And it gives the milk a real richness to it. also a little bit of grassy, flowery flavor to it.
Tom?
This one is they have three different tone that they make there. They make the regular tone, which is usually a nice
Everything is shared with you. If you could pull up the slideshow on that computer.
semi-hard cheese. And the others, they do one, this one has herb de Provence and put into the milk when they form it. And it's kind of mellow, it's kind of nice. And it's, since he has herb de Provence, I also paired it with some French olives, which is usually a good pairing with the herbs and with the red wine. It's the third one is a tomate truffle, which we also carry, which is infused with black truffle and has he has pretty strong truffle flavor. And as we say, it would be a little too much for this one. And the herbs is I think blend better with the fruitiness of that wine. So
It's just savory Pinot.
but he has to me as a lower trying to think of the food that it has, and it can think of it right now. It's got that
You are on
not the red currant.
I like this one, but I like this one.
We're trying to at least get the slideshow back up for anyone who's joining us online, and I apologize.
Hey, we
This
love
is-
being
This is
inside
so,
the
like, I don't want to do this way anymore, as I was saying. It's just too challenging for us. Like, we're changing the format after this because it's just as we're all growing and changing, we're getting the keys to expand next door, so we'll have an actual classroom space moving forward. So that will be nice. Once we have that, we won't all be, like trying to do this way. We'll have an actual system set up, and then we can do the live. But we're gonna take a break from doing the live after this because it's impossible to do. It is, exactly. And so I apologize because I feel like you guys are missing part of the experience, and then people online are missing part of the experience. So we're just, and I spent a ton of time putting it together. So I'm like, I want to show you the notes and the videos and everything, because that was, in my opinion, part of the conversation. And I deleted all of the history notes that I had for the last one, and now I'm kicking myself because I don't have that video, but maybe Tom can pull that up next on his computer. So
the olives will bring a little bit of
if you
the
can go into the email next.
umami to the wine, because yes, that saltiness and all that. Those olives are marinated also with the orange peels and peppers, so they have that little citrus flavor that goes real nice with the cheese and the wine too. To me, this, I'm not partial because I'm French, but they make great olives.
Okay, so, and then we'll have that ready. So I'll just tell you really fast about the winemaking on this one. If my glasses back on. So this is, like I was saying, it's a mix of their heritage and Dijon cloves, Everything was hand sorted, and then it was fermented with native yeast and small open top fermenters, and then aged primarily in neutral oak, French oak barrels. It is aged 12 months. 95% of that is in neutral oak barrels, and 5% of that is new French oak. So what does that all mean?
Yeah.
Basically, when you have the open top fermenters, you're letting the air get in. You're kind of basically just kind of like encouraging the native yeast to keep keeping on. And that's also it's speeding up that process also. So, and you're inviting the environment also into the wine, in my opinion. So
Smoke from the fire.
this is a 16, so
Okay,
I don't
we're
think
good.
right?
Well, that's.
No, this is. I was like, wait, no, this
That's
is
the next
19.
one.
I'm like, wait a minute.
No, that's the next
He
one.
switched the bottle on me.
That's the next one.
All right.
How much are these wines for the bottle?
So all of these wines are going to be anywhere from the Gummock Bunchu, I want to say, is our least expensive, and that one's around 25. The rest of them range from 30 to 35. So they're all I think reasonably priced for where they are.
French and American.
So, American oak is a lot more distinctively imparts a lot more flavor. A lot more vanilla, a lot more of that baking spice, a lot more toffee caramel tones. And the French oak, not as much. It kind of is more along the lines of savory.
Now, do they grow
Versus-
French oak in America and
No.
America oak in French?
Nope.
curious.
Yeah, it's a good question. There's also Slovenian oak and a lot
really?
of other different oaks now that they're using as well.
There's some excellent
So-
wines in Slovenia.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. We're trying to get our hands on more. Yes. Because we like Slovenian. And we like Slovenian wine, so, or with wine.
And they're
So,
Yeah. It's Jill's first tasting in 3-ish months. So.
I know. That's why I wanted to make sure that the videos worked for her and everything.
Well, I
So.
haven't queued up, so.
Because so Jill was a regular of ours who joined us every week, and then they went to Utah, Idaho, I forgot where. I want to say Utah, right? Yeah. And they've been there for the last 3.5 months. So it was originally like, oh, we're just gonna be gone for a month. Us from home. That's why I want to make sure like they can actually join us and see what we're doing and join. So, all right, we'll move into the next one. Then we'll see videos about the kids, because the Point Reyes video that I had it's kind of more like a marketing video of them talking about. So basically, Point Reyes. Do you want to talk about it more about the actual creamery, or did you already? Besides the cheese, I know you talked about the cheese, but did you actually talk about the creamery and the family and all that?
Cheese over.
Okay. Well, anyways, basically it's 4 sisters who are running the creamery. Their grandfather was the one who originally started this, and then their dad kind of like blew it up basically, and they were a dairy farm with over 700 acres. And then in the late 90s, their dad was like, "I need help with this," basically, and so they came home and they kind of took over and said, "Okay, we're gonna reduce our footprint, first of all, because this is ridiculously large. Because that's a lot of acreage with a lot of cows, and that's a lot of carbon footprint. Like it's a lot." So they kind of scaled back. They took a sustainability approach, and now it's the 4 daughters that are running Point Reyes, and dad is kind of like their coach and their mentor. So moving on to number 3. So this is Alma de Catalaya, and this is also Pinot Noir. And like I was saying, this one is a lot more fragrance and definitely a much more feminine, aromatic, Sonoma, quintessential, in my opinion, kind of like that quintessential, when you think of Sonoma Pinot, I feel like this is kind of what you think of. When I get requests for Sonoma Pinots, this is usually what people are looking for. It's very food friendly. She is from Colombia originally, but at the age of 14, she decided she wanted to become a winemaker, and so she decided to to go study. And so she studied engineering and business when she was in Colombia, and then she decided to move to France and study enology. And so then she went to the University of Bordeaux. And then from there, she's pretty much, we've got her resume right here. But from there, she got to do internships with Chateau Aubryon, La Mission Aubryon in Bordeaux, and then also Domaine Stéphane Auger, and also Domaine Cousin Roche in Côte Rôtie. And then she went to California. Many people's favorite. Côte Rôtie is a favorite. And Chateau Neuf de Pape of Rome. And then she moved to California and fell in love with the Sonoma region. And so then there she worked for La Crema, she worked for Pay, she worked for Avant, Clement, Coupe, and then Linmar. And in 2011, she married her husband, Jeff Pisoni of the Pisoni family vineyards, who pretty much put like Russian River on the map. So they're a very well-known Sonoma family. And so in 2012, she started this label, and in 2012 he started Lucia, which was kind of both of their spin-off labels for their larger. And so it's just an easy drinking. It's also fermented in stainless steel. So they harvest at night, they sort at the winery, it goes into a cold soak, then it's fermented in stainless steel, again, open top tanks, and then it's drained, so really it's racked from the tank, the skins are gently pressed, and then it's aged in neutral barrels for 11 months, and I'm going to say that the neutral barrels are probably American. It doesn't say which, but I'm going to...
I was wondering what neutral meant.
I would think that it's neutral because there is more sweetness in this one than there is in the last one. Neutral means that they're older, they're used.
Okay.
They've got some age on them. Yeah, they've been used at least 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so the initial.
The new is like literally
is
new,
gone.
like first
Right.
use new, second use that's new, third becomes neutral usually.
Okay.
So-
I'm not old, I'm neutral.
Right, there you
No,
go,
you're
exactly.
beyond
That is exactly what I'm saying.
You know,
So Raymond paired
Yeah, with another California cheese, but this one is not from the Puente Reyes area because this one is a goat milk cheese. So goats usually are kind of a different diet than cows. They don't need as much grass. They need mostly wash, whatever. I mean, goats eat pretty much anything. Then it's laying on. They'll eat cardboard.
they'll eat my jacket.
Yeah.
While I'm wearing it.
And so they're very, very, very versatile, but they do create a beautiful milk. And it's actually the closest milk to a mother's milk by taste and by consistency. It's the
pH, probably.
Yeah.
pH.
So it's but it has that nice tanginess, almost like a buttermilk on the cow milk, and that bring a nice taste to the goat cheese. This is a fresh type chef goat cheese, so it hasn't been aged much, and it's just like right after it's formulated, it's kind of left to dry a little bit. They add that beautiful flavor that comes out of it is mainly from fennel pollen, which is a very, very, to me, it's like a beautiful spice to use on cheese or chicken. It's a lot stronger than just plain fennel, but he has that mellowness to it. And they also use lavender, which is that's how it got his name, lavender being purple. It has nothing to do with Jimi Hendrix in the 60s. No LSD added to that. The flavor is very, very addictive kind of, and it's a great cheese to use on salads and things like that because of all those flavors, or even melted on a nice grilled chicken breast. Fennel always go real good with that. So, but it's also great with wine and just to enjoy as a snack. So I hope you like the mix, because the wine I see will kind of mellow a little bit, that fennel, but it will bring also the fruit of the wine too. So and they make about 3 or 4 different flavors of that same cheese. The next one, we have one here, which is a salt and pepper, which has spices and cayenne and things like that in it. So it's very. Then they have also more goat cheese, but more type like aged, like the Cyprus. The Humble Fog is very well known. It has like an ash center in the middle, just like vegetable ashes, which give a real beautiful flavor. And then they also have one that has ashes on the outside, like the French goat cheese. So they do a lot of different variation on their goat cheese. They are one of the better one out of California, I think.
Do those pair with any of these ones or not?
I would, yeah. I mean, it's
The ones that we chose today,
they're very versatile wine. They're very versatile. I would not pair them with like those heavy red, like
maybe not the
Syrahs and what.
That's kind of the fun of this. Like I like to just leave a little bit of everything so you can try them with each of them.
Yeah.
You know, like, because then you'll see why we picked what we picked and why we paired what we paired with each. Because if you try this one with the next one, it's not going to be the same as with this one. But this would still be good with both of the other two that we did too, in my opinion.
They also pair real good with like Chenin Blancs and you know, Sauvignon
and
Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah. I'm going to play a quick video on Cypress Grove. If we can hear it. How do I make the sound go, Tom?
That cheese is so good. Yeah, anytime you see Cypress Grove name on the goat cheese, it's something to try.
We are having fun. Working on the
Actually, it
audio.
brings a lot of wine.
Yeah.
You really get that
The floral.
the fennel.
Yeah.
The fennel really comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really comes out in the wine too.
Good.
Not so
I'm gonna
much.
try it with the bread. I
Not
feel
so-
like the bread might be better than the sesame seeds. I feel like the sesame seeds are interrupting my flow.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do.
I like the punch with the creamy cheese.
In the States, this is a relatively new industry. So we did a lot of research in Holland, also in France, where animals were treated very humanely, had plenty of space, lots of good food. Places where goat milk and goat cheese have been around for a very long time. Because we started our farm with a very small number of goats, we put a lot of emphasis on raising young stock, kid rearing as we call it.
So
And that
the
really
video
begins
that
with
we're
the first
showing,
12 hours of life.
can't-
They need
I
to
guess
have very
we're
clean
not
and
able
very
to hear
rich
the
color.
sound.
Where are you showing?
Raising the kids from the
I know, right?
beginning makes a huge
Yeah,
difference
he's
for their
checking
entire
to see
lives.
if they can
And
hear
we've
it
had a lot
online.
of success,
But
and
so the
kids
video
are
that we're
extremely healthy.
showing is
We decided to use
because
clear
when
span
they
structures
decided to
because it
become a
allows a
creamery,
lot of
they
passive
just
solar.
decided
We
that
made
they're
sure the
basically
animals had
going
plenty of
into the
access
goat
to
rearing
water and
business.
food, and routing
You
to
know,
and from
so-
building to
Oh, the
building
goat
was
rearing.
smooth and easy.
Oh, sure.
I think what I'm most proud of here at the dairy is the team of employees. They're all very well trained, they all really care for the animals, and they really care about the end product.
They say necessity is the mother of invention, and for Mary Keene, a single mother of 4 in the 1970s,
So, okay, this isn't the video that I thought it was going to be, but this video is also Unlike Bunchu, otherwise known as Gun Bun. They make a lot of like fun informational videos that explain to anyone about wives and also like how to pronounce their name. And like I said, they've been around for a long time. This is mainly a Cab and Merlot blend. So basically, each lot they have a 36-acre hillside section that was planted in 1976, and that's where most of these grapes come from. And the soils there are shallow rhyolitic volcanic ash from the lower Mayacamas range. So, and then each lot is harvested separately, and It goes through a 3 to 5 day cold soak, which is that maceration period that we're talking about, using pump overs, and then it's aged for 14 months in oak, primarily French, and you sense the oak in the finish of the wine, which to me probably is some new oak in there because you're gonna get that with the vanilla, with the new oak versus. All right, yeah, I'm so mad at myself for taking down like I worked so hard on those slides and then I deleted them when I found this video. And yeah, and I won't do that again.
Don't do that again.
I won't do that again because I was like, that was a lot of work, and then I just deleted it. Story of my life. So yeah, so this is 6 generations, 160 years. They celebrated 150 years 10 years ago, and this is what the original farm looked like, basically. So they are like right there. They are like right here on our map. You know, so like they're at the very southern tip of Sonoma, and like literally they back up, like their properties back up to Carneros and Napa. And if you're familiar with that area, you know that Carneros kind of like is the in between Napa and Sonoma. Like you go through there to get there, basically. So that's where they are. They're as far southern Sonoma as you can get. So they are in the land of sunshine, in my opinion. And then it gets cold and the fog rolls in at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So beautiful. I kind of consider this to be more Napa just because it's more of a darker, broodier style. And it's also got those Napa varietals, but this is also Sonoma. You know, like it is Sonoma fruit. It's not Napa fruit. So, but it is close to Napa, but it's different. It's on the other side of the mountain. So you've got that going for it. So you're closer to the fog line than Napa is. Napa has more sunshine than they have here. They have more cool, and they have to contend with those foggy climates and those conditions. Yeah, exactly. And they're in a microclimate for sure in their property. It's really cool going there. And it's really cool also just like seeing the history because I mean, go to their website and go to Red Car's website. Red Car will make you cry because of the history between the founders and the love letter, like I said, of the founders. You get a sense of who they are as people. I can't say that about Lei Loon and Populous because they're just newer and they're more hipstery, so they're not into the marketing and all of that. And then Alma Takatalaya, of course, like they do a great job, but I feel like it's very branded. And then this one, Gunlock Bunchy, like this is like straight up Sonoma County family, like grassroots originally, but like they went from grassroots originally to like setting out. These are German families, German in Bavaria, which is Germany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like right.
That's the most German.
Yeah. So it's so Gunlock and Bunshu. So it was gosh. I can't remember now. I don't think I even have it written down. Of like, I think Charles Gunlock was the original, and then it was, or it's the other way around. So it's Charles and somebody else. But anyways, basically, the original founders, like Gunlock came from Bavaria, went back there, brought his wife. They picked all these clippings and they brought them to Sonoma. Specifically. Then they had their Rhine farm and settled that in Sonoma. Then they opened their winery in San Francisco, in downtown San Francisco. They blew up the wine world with making wine. Like they were just mass producing wine like crazy. Then the fire happened in San Francisco of 1904 that devastated them. So it wiped out their entire operation. So the family moved back to Rhine farm. Then prohibition happened, so then they closed for a long time. Then they basically were kind of like in disarray. They were like, what do we do? Like we're gonna just sell the farm, and we're gonna sell the winery. We're gonna sell all of it. And so then Towel was really like the main one that was like, no, we're not doing this. Like we're gonna sell part of it, sure, but we're gonna stay here because this is our family legacy, and we need to hold on to what we've got here. And so he was really like the one who really kind of like stuck with it. And then from there it was, I want to say like Jim, And then Jim was the one who is Tal's oldest son. Jim was the one leading it for a long time. And then they kind of like, they went through during that before or after the World's, after the fire, they did go to the World's Fair. They won all 19 prizes. They entered 19 wines and they won all 19 prizes. And even best of, like, they got the grand prize as well. So they cleaned house. So that's why it was like, we're not like, we've got good stuff going on here. We're not just like throwing in the towel. And so then basically like in the 50s and then again in the 70s, there was resurgences with different generations coming in. And in the 70s, it was Jim who said to Tal, like, because he was again like about to sell the farm and they kind of like did away with the winery. They were just, they had a contract with the Martinellis, I think it was, or Martinis, Louis Martini, I think it was. And so they were selling their grapes to them. And then Jim was like, I want to make wine with our grapes. I want us to produce our own stuff. So he was trying to talk his dad into letting them do that. And his dad literally made them like, nope, you have to start your own label. And so they had to kind of prove themselves. And they were like this, I can't remember what it's named, but it's in their video. It's like Sonoma Viticultural Vineyards or something like that. Very, very like basic. And they sold their wine underneath that until they finally won a prize and won the Sonoma Heritage Award or something like that, the fair. And then that's when their dad finally said, okay, you can use the family name again. And now they're Gun Lock Bunches with the back of the D like
What a great story.
It is. And so and now it's like Jeff who runs it. So that's Jeff in the newer pictures of them. Jim is his dad and the older in the black and white. And that's Jim on the left and Jeff on the right. And so, and then the daughter as well, who does like the sales and the marketing and everything. So it's definitely a family affair. And they, and this is what the property now looks like. And they were able to purchase some of the sold property back and put it back together again. So it's very like, oh, what a fun story. So, oh no.
Yes, it's a one. We don't see it.
Oh, I know why. Okay. Because his doesn't have the HDMI cable. Okay, let me show you pictures.
Wouldn't say the wine.
I know, right? So this is Jim, and this is Jim, and this is Jeff.
And they're very happy.
This is right, and then this is the original.
Oh,
farm.
the horse run.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. And then this is now.
Wow.
So very cool, right? And then now we'll talk about cheese.
Oh!
And now we're going to Southern Oregon.
So,
All right.
but the cheese is one of the main creamery up in that part of Oregon is on by the Rogue River, and this is one of their blues. They do they're mostly known for their blue. And the one that is the most unusual is the one we have here too. Is this Rogue Smoky Blue. It's actually the only blue cheese that I've ever had that is smoked. As they actually cold smoke it on hazelnut shell. They don't use wood. They use hazelnut shell, which give that really good. The cheese that nutty hazelnut flavor to it. And it's very mellow, it's very easy. We use that here for some of the tapas, but by itself is really, really good. This one is one of the other blues. They also do another two blue beside this one that are mostly seasonal. They do them only for like 3 months out of the year. So this one, I think this one is.
This one's also seasonal.
And it's a caveman. They call it caveman blue. To me, it's like the closest thing to a real kind of mellow stilton. It's got the same type of wine on it. It's got that same real dark blue veins in it, like a stilton, but it's not as sharp. I think it's a real creamy, nice creamy blue. It has a little bit of a nutty flavor to it. I think it's real nice with this wine because the wine has some nice tannin and some nice fruit to it. Deep fruit, and that's might make me think of eating that cheese with maybe some fresh fig when they're in season, because the wine is very close to that. You can taste it today. I've added some honey from France with it. It's real good without the honey, but it's also real interesting with the honey. In comparison with the tannin from that wine. So to me, it's like add another dimension to the cheese. So I suggest you try without, but also try with it. But the Rogue is really some of the best blue cheese that I've had up in Oregon. They also the other blue cheese artisan I really like is I wish I could remember.
How do I play the video? And is there a way I'll put the screen that way so that they can see it.
With the honey, I see.
Since they can't see it, because I didn't realize that the Rogue one, yeah.
What was that?
Cheese is gone.
Oh.
Yeah, Sarah has some. I stole some.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have any more.
It's
If you might want
There's one that's really
I lost my microphone.
It's an old yeah. But
I'll be right back.
okay.
Sarah. I think Carolyn and Cameron will want to hear your wisdom.
If you miss out a good experience,
Oh, awesome.
so you can buy it.
What's your first name? No.
Welcome to the Rogue Creamery, an artisan cheese company with people dedicated to sustainability and the art and tradition of making the world's finest handmade cheese. This video provides a behind-the-scenes glimpse of the creamery, its history, and the people who handcraft Rogue cheese every day. Since 1935, the Rogue Creamery has been producing handmade cheese in Oregon's pristine and scenic Rogue River Valley. The beauty of nearby natural wonders has even inspired the names of several of our blue cheeses. The Rogue River Valley Creamery was founded in 1928 and, in 1935, sold to Tom Vella, a successful cheesemaker and owner of Vella Cheese in Sonoma, California. The creamery provided much-needed year-round work in the region and kept local dairies in business during the Depression. Following a trip to Roquefort, France in 1955, Tom constructed the first blue cheese caves in the West and soon began producing Oregon blue cheese. Our caves have been ripening blues for over 50 years. Upon Tom's death in 1998 at age 100, Ignacio Vella succeeded his father with the vision of returning to the glory days of Rogue Creamery. In July 2002, Vella sold the creamery to David Gremmels and Carrie Bryant with the understanding that they would honor the history and tradition of the creamery. Today, Ig Vella serves as Rogue's master cheesemaker, visiting often from Sonoma. Day-to-day operations are run by a team of cheesemakers who undergo a rigorous 7-level certification process. Under David and Carrie's stewardship, Rogue Creamery has been reinvigorated, employing a team of over 30 dedicated people who handcraft cheese 7 days a week. Rogue Creamery cheeses have won awards nationally and internationally, including the prestigious Best Blue Cheese in the World Award for Rogue River Blue at the 2003 World Cheese Awards in London. In January 2008, the Rogue Creamery became the first American raw milk cheesemaker approved by the FDA and the USDA to export raw milk cheese to the European Union. With a strong commitment to sustainability and the environment, both the dairy and creameries are certified sustainable by the Food Alliance. Quality cheese begins with quality milk. The creamery has partnered with Delmer Brink of Rogue View Dairy and nearby Rogue Valley Dairy to provide premium certified sustainable milk. Rogue View Dairy's herd of brown Swiss and Holstein cows graze on the banks of the Rogue River, enjoying fresh grass 9 months out of the year. This pampered herd provides milk with the ideal properties for producing Rogue Blue and cheddar cheese. By 7 a.m., the milk is slowly heating in a warm vat. By 9 a.m., the milk reaches the proper temperature and a starter culture is added. The starter culture begins to acidify the milk and adds the blue vein and flavor to the final cheese. Several hours later, when the proper pH is reached, an enzyme coagulant called rennet is added to coagulate or thicken the milk. Next, the curd mass is cut into small cubes using a device called a cheese heart. This process allows the solid curds to separate from the liquid whey. After
I take
healing,
responsibility.
the curds are gently stirred until they reach perfect firmness.